George Thompson slammed the hood of the battered pickup truck, wiping grease from his hands as the engine roared to life under the dim streetlight of his quiet suburban neighborhood in suburban Denver. He had no idea that helping this stranded stranger would shatter his carefully constructed life. But as the man with piercing blue eyes thanked him profusely, George felt a spark he hadn't experienced since coming out 5 years ago, right before his wife left him with their toddler son. The stranger, who introduced himself as Jordan Hale, looked like he'd been through hell. Disheveled clothes, a faint bruise on his cheek, and a backpack slung over one shoulder. "You're a lifesaver, man," Jordan said, his voice laced with exhaustion. "I don't know what I would have done without you." George, a 35-year-old mechanic who ran a small garage out of his home, shrugged it off. "Just doing what anyone would. You okay? Looks like you could use a coffee." It was late, past 10 p.m., and his son, Mikey, was already asleep inside, watched over by the babysitter. Against his better judgment, George invited Jordan in for a quick brew, sensing something vulnerable beneath the tough exterior. As they sat at the kitchen table, Jordan opened up slightly. He was on the run from a bad situation back in Chicago. Corporate job gone wrong, debts piling up, and a family that disowned him when he came out as gay 2 years ago. George nodded sympathetically. His own story mirrored that pain. After his divorce, his conservative parents in Texas had cut him off, calling his sexuality a phase that endangered Mikey. "Family can be the cruelest," George muttered, pouring another cup. Jordan's eyes met his, and for a moment, the air thickened with unspoken understanding. By midnight, Jordan was gone, truck fixed, promising to pay George back someday. George went to bed feeling oddly alive, but uneasy. The next morning, chaos erupted. George woke to the sound of engines revving outside his modest ranch-style house. Peeking through the curtains, he saw 3 black SUVs blocking his driveway, men in dark suits stepping out with earpieces. His heart pounded. "Daddy, who's that?" Mikey asked, rubbing his eyes as he toddled into the room. George scooped him up, whispering, "Stay inside, buddy." One of the men knocked firmly. "Mr. Thompson? Federal agents. We need to talk about the man you helped last night." Panic surged through George. Jordan wasn't just some drifter. He was a key witness in a massive corporate fraud case, fleeing from hitmen hired by his former bosses. By fixing the truck, George had unwittingly aided a protected individual, drawing attention to himself. The agents grilled him for hours, warning that his actions could have compromised Jordan's safety. "You don't understand the risks," the lead agent said sternly. "These people don't play nice." George's mind raced. Had he endangered Mikey? His ex-wife, Sarah, still had partial custody and was always looking for reasons to challenge his fitness as a parent. Word spread fast in the tight-knit community. By afternoon, neighbors whispered behind fences, and George's phone buzzed with texts from his garage clients canceling appointments. "Heard you're mixed up with fugitives," one read. George's sister, Emily, the only family member who still spoke to him, called in a frenzy. "What the hell, George? Mom and Dad are freaking out. They think this proves you're unstable." Emily had always been his buffer, but even she sounded doubtful. "You can't keep making impulsive decisions. Think about Mikey." That evening, Jordan reappeared at George's door, looking more haggard. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "I didn't mean to drag you into this." The agents had tracked him down nearby, but Jordan had slipped away to warn George. Sitting on the porch, they talked in hushed tones. Jordan confessed he was gay, too, and the fraud case involved outing him to leverage silence. "My family turned on me when the truth came out. I thought running would fix it." George felt a pull toward him, a shared isolation in a world that judged them harshly. But helping Jordan now meant defying the agents, risking custody battles, and facing societal scorn. As night fell, George made his first tough choice. He let Jordan hide in his garage for the night. "Just until we figure this out," George said, his voice trembling. Mikey, oblivious, played with his toys inside. George lay awake, tormented by inner conflict. Was this attraction clouding his judgment? Society already viewed gay parents as risky, This could confirm every stereotype. Yet, turning Jordan away felt like betraying his own identity. The decision weighed heavy, the first crack in his fragile stability. The following days blurred into a nightmare of tension. George juggled work at the garage, where business dwindled as rumors flew. That gay guy's harboring criminals. He fielded calls from Sarah, who threatened to take full custody. "You're putting our son in danger for some fling?" she accused. George denied any romance, but deep down, conversations with Jordan revealed a growing bond. They shared stories of rejection. Jordan's evangelical parents disowning him, George's father calling him a disgrace at Thanksgiving. One afternoon, while Mikey napped, Jordan helped George fix a neighbor's car, their hands brushing accidentally. The spark ignited unspoken feelings. "Why'd you help me?" Jordan asked. George hesitated. "Because I know what it's like to be alone." But the agents returned, pressuring George to reveal Jordan's location. Lying to them was a moral quandary. Protect a stranger or safeguard his child. George chose silence, but the lie gnawed at him. Emily arrived unannounced, her face etched with worry. "George, this isn't you. Mom wants to intervene, say you're unfit." The family pressure mounted. His parents, devout Christians, believed homosexuality was a sin, and now this scandal proved it. Emily urged him to turn Jordan in. For Mikey's sake. Torn, George confronted Jordan. "Are you worth this?" Jordan's eyes filled with regret.
No.
"But you're the first person who's seen me as more than a problem." That night, a betrayal unfolded. Sarah, tipped off by a neighbor, called Child Services. Officials arrived, questioning George's home environment. "Is there anyone else here?" they asked. George denied it, but Mikey innocently mentioned the nice man in the garage. The officials searched, finding Jordan. Chaos ensued. Agents swarmed, arresting Jordan for evading protection. George watched in horror as Jordan was hauled away, their eyes locking in silent apology. In the aftermath, George faced the consequences. Sarah filed for emergency custody, citing the danger. "You chose a stranger over our son," she said in court papers. George's business suffered. Clients boycotted, labeling him irresponsible. Society's judgment hit hard. Online forums debated gay parents and poor choices. Inner turmoil consumed him. Had his compassion been a mistake? The decision to help had cost him dearly, awakening doubts about his worth as a father. Yet, amid the storm, George found a sliver of awakening. Visiting Jordan in custody, he learned the full truth. Jordan had evidence that could take down a corrupt CEO exploiting LGBTQ employees. "You gave me hope," Jordan said through the glass. George realized his actions, though flawed, stemmed from empathy in a divisive world. The custody hearing loomed like a guillotine over George's life. In the sterile Denver courtroom, he sat rigid, his lawyer whispering strategies. Sarah, poised and accusatory, painted him as reckless. "He harbored a fugitive, endangering our child for personal reasons." The judge, an older man with a stern gaze, nodded thoughtfully. George's heart ached as Mikey, now 4, sat with Sarah's family, looking confused. This was the price of his decision, a public dissection of his sexuality and choices. Flashbacks haunted George during the proceedings. Growing up in Texas, he'd suppressed his feelings, marrying Sarah to please his parents. Coming out at 30 shattered that facade, leading to divorce and estrangement. Now, society weaponized it against him. Witnesses testified. Neighbors called him unstable. A former client said, "Gay or not, he put a kid at risk." George's defense highlighted his stable life, good job, loving parent, but the narrative of moral lapse stuck. Emily took the stand, torn between loyalty and family pressure. "My brother is a great dad," she said, voice wavering. But under cross-examination, she admitted concerns. "He acts impulsively sometimes." It felt like betrayal, though George knew her hands were tied. Their parents had threatened to cut her off too if she fully supported him. The inner conflict raged. Forgive her or resent the system forcing such choices? Jordan's situation intertwined further. From jail, he refused to testify against the CEO without protection for George. "Tell him I'm sorry," Jordan messaged through his lawyer. George visited again, the bond deepening despite bars. "Why fight for me?" George asked. Jordan smiled faintly. "Because you saw me when no one else did." Their conversations delved into shared traumas, Jordan's abusive father echoing George's emotional neglect. But romance simmered unspoken, complicated by circumstances. Post-hearing, George lost partial custody temporarily. Mikey went to Sarah's for weeks, leaving George's house echoing with silence. The emptiness amplified his doubts. Was being true to himself worth losing his son? Society's lens magnified every flaw. Gay men as promiscuous, unfit. Online hate poured in. Typical, chasing thrills over family. George spiraled, questioning if helping Jordan was selfish desire masked as kindness. A turning point came when Emily confessed. "Mom made me doubt you," she said, tears streaming. "But I see now it's their prejudice." This mended some wounds, but the damage lingered. George confronted his parents via video call. "Your judgment is killing me," he said. His father retorted, "Your lifestyle choices did this." The call ended in shouts, a stark moral clash, tradition versus authenticity. Meanwhile, Jordan faced his own trial. Testifying meant exposing his sexuality publicly, risking further family rejection. He chose to speak, implicating the CEO in fraud and discrimination. Media frenzy ensued. Gay whistleblower takes down empire. George watched from afar, pride mixed with regret. Jordan's bravery inspired him, but at what cost? Jordan lost his anonymity, becoming a target. George's business hit rock bottom. He considered closing the garage. A loyal client, an older gay man, offered advice. "Society will always judge us. Fight back." Motivated, George reached out to LGBTQ support groups, sharing his story. It was a small awakening, turning pain into advocacy. But the personal toll mounted. Sleepless nights, therapy sessions unpacking guilt. When Mikey returned for a supervised visit, the boy's innocent question pierced George. "Why can't the nice man come back?" George hugged him tight, vowing to reclaim his life. Yet, shadows loomed. Agents warned of lingering threats from the CEO's allies. George's decision to help had rippled into a web of consequences, forcing him to weigh love against safety. Tension escalated when Jordan was released on bail, seeking refuge with George again. "I can't go home," he pleaded. George hesitated. Another crossroads. Letting him in meant reigniting risks, turning him away, abandoning a soulmate. He chose the former, their first kiss a quiet rebellion against the world. But joy was short-lived. Sarah discovered it, fueling her custody fight. The moral quandary deepened. Was this relationship a betrayal to Mikey? Society screamed yes, but George's heart said no. As high noon approached in this drama, sacrifices piled up, each character paying dearly for their truths. With Jordan under his roof once more, George's world teetered on the brink of collapse. The black SUVs had vanished, but surveillance lingered. Agents monitoring for protection. George felt like a prisoner in his own home, every decision scrutinized. Mikey, back part-time, sensed the strain. "Are you sad, Daddy?" he asked one morning over cereal. George forced a smile. "Just grown-up stuff, kiddo." But inside, turmoil brewed, balancing fatherhood with this budding romance amid societal backlash. Jordan integrated subtly, helping with chores and Mikey. Their connection grew through quiet evenings, discussing dreams deferred by prejudice. Jordan shared his corporate nightmare. Outed by a colleague, blackmailed into silence. "I chose integrity over safety," he said. George admired it but envied the resolve. His own coming out had been messy, costing family ties. Now, dating Jordan amplified judgments. Single gay dad shacks up with criminal. Gossip mills churned. Family pressure intensified. His parents flew in unexpectedly, demanding a meeting. At a local diner, his mother wept. "We raised you better. This lifestyle is destroying you." His father added, "Hand over Mikey to Sarah before you ruin him." The confrontation exposed raw mouth Juan Dao Duk, parental love twisted by dogma. George stood firm. "My love doesn't make me less of a dad." They left in anger, disowning him fully. The betrayal stung, but liberated him somewhat. Emily, witnessing the fallout, switched sides. "I'm done enabling them," she declared, moving in temporarily to support. Her presence eased tensions, but highlighted sacrifices. She risked her inheritance. "Family shouldn't be conditional," she said. George appreciated it, but guilt gnawed. His choices affected everyone. Societal backlash hit peak when a local news story aired. Gay father's fugitive fiasco raises parenting questions. Protests formed outside his garage. Conservative groups chanting about protecting children.
Client fled, bill piled.
George faced a stark choice. Close shop or fight. He chose advocacy, speaking at an LGBTQ rally. "My story is about humanity, not labels," he proclaimed. Applause followed, but threats ensued. Anonymous calls warning him off Jordan. Jordan's trial heated up, with him testifying against the CEO. Cross-examination was brutal. "Isn't your homosexuality clouding your judgment?" The defense sneered. Jordan held steady, but the toll showed nightmares, paranoia. George comforted him, their relationship a sanctuary amid storm. Yet intimacy brought inner conflict. Was this fair to Mikey? A therapist urged reflection. Love isn't wrong, but timing matters. A major confrontation arose when Sarah ambushed George at home. "You're exposing our son to this chaos," she yelled, spotting Jordan. Mikey hid behind George, scared. Sarah's pain was evident. She still cared, but resentment festered. "I left because of your lies," she said. George apologized. "I was hiding from myself." The exchange forced a truce. Sarah agreed to mediation, but demanded Jordan leave. Torn, George weighed options. Sending Jordan away meant safety but heartbreak. Keeping him, potential loss of Mikey. Moral lines blurred. Was self-sacrifice noble or foolish? Jordan offered to go. "I won't cost you your son." But George refused, seeing it as capitulation to prejudice. High drama unfolded at mediation. Sarah revealed a secret. She'd known about George's sexuality before marriage, but hoped to fix him. "I was wrong," she admitted tearfully. This revelation shifted dynamics. Mutual forgiveness emerged. Custody stabilized, but with conditions. No unstable influences. Jordan qualified as such, forcing another decision. As tensions crested, a betrayal from within struck. Emily, under parental duress, leaked Jordan's location to agents. "I thought it was best," she confessed later. Agents raided, relocating Jordan forcibly. George felt shattered. Family bonds snapped. "How could you?" he raged. Emily's remorse was genuine, but irreparable damage done. In isolation, George confronted his awakening. Society's chains had bound him, but breaking free required painful cuts. Jordan's absence ached, but sparked resolve. He rebuilt the garage, targeting LGBTQ clients. Mikey thrived, asking about Uncle Jordan. George pondered the costs. Lost family, reputation tarnished, but authenticity gained. Alone again, George navigated the void left by Jordan's forced departure. The house felt colder. Mikey's laughter a bittersweet reminder of what was at stake. Agents assured Jordan's safety in witness protection, but no contact allowed. George's heart fractured. Had their connection been real, or a fleeting escape from loneliness? Inner monologues tormented him. "You risked everything for a stranger. Was it worth it?" Business rebounded slowly, thanks to community support from LGBTQ networks. A new client, a trans woman, shared her story. "Prejudice tried to break me too." It reinforced George's awakening. His ordeal wasn't isolated. He volunteered at shelters, channeling pain into purpose. But societal scars lingered. Stares at the grocery store, whispers at Mikey's school. "That dad's the one from the news," parents murmured. George held his head high, teaching Mikey resilience. Be kind, no matter what. Family reconciliation attempts faltered. Emily apologized repeatedly, but trust eroded. I was weak, she admitted. George forgave partially, but boundaries set, no more interference. His parents remained distant, sending a letter, praying for your soul. The moral divide yawned wide, faith versus acceptance. George questioned if bridging it was possible, or even desirable. Sarah evolved surprisingly. During pickups, she confided, I see now how hard it was for you. Shared parenting improved, but underlying tensions simmered. When Mikey drew a picture of Daddy and his friend, Sarah tensed. Be careful, she warned. George nodded, aware of the delicate balance. Months passed, high-stakes drama resurfacing when Jordan's trial concluded. The CEO was convicted, headlines blaring, whistleblower's testimony seals fate. Jordan emerged from hiding, contacting George secretly. I miss you, the message read. Elation mixed with fear. Reuniting meant defying protection protocols, risking lives. George faced the ultimate choice: pursue love or prioritize stability. Mikey, now more aware, asked, will the nice man come back? George's decision weighed ethics, personal happiness versus parental duty. Society's voice echoed, gay relationships as selfish. But Jordan represented hope in a biased world. A clandestine meeting arranged in a remote park. Jordan looked changed, stronger but weary. Testifying cost me everything, he said. Family gone, job ruined. They embraced, emotions surging. But you were worth it. George confessed his losses. Family rifts, business struggles. We both paid dearly. Yet reunion brought confrontation. Agents tracked them, intervening. This ends now, they demanded. Jordan refused relocation without George. A standoff ensued, moral quandary at its peak. George chose to fight legally, petitioning for joint protection. Love isn't a crime, he argued. Betrayal struck again. Sarah, fearing instability, revoked shared custody. Court battles reignited, exposing vulnerabilities. Witnesses debated George's fitness. Emotional attachments cloud judgment. George countered, denying my identity harms Mikey more. Emily redeemed herself, testifying for George. He's the best father, despite our family's flaws. Her stand severed ties with parents, a profound sacrifice. I choose right over blood, she said. As verdicts loomed, George reflected on the journey. Initial help leading to chaos, growth through pain. Jordan's presence solidified his resolve, together against odds. But costs mounted. Mikey's confusion, societal ostracism. In a tense courtroom finale, the judge ruled in George's favor for custody, citing progress. But protection denied for Jordan, forcing separation. Heartbroken, they parted with promises. We'll find a way, Jordan whispered. George returned home transformed. The experience awakened him to systemic biases, fueling activism. He started a support group for LGBTQ parents, turning scars into strength. Mikey adapted, thriving in an honest environment. Resolution dawned slowly for George, a mosaic of healing and lingering wounds. With custody secured, he focused on Mikey, enrolling him in activities to build normalcy. But Jordan's absence haunted. Sporadic, encrypted messages their only link. Stay strong, Jordan wrote. George replied, for us. The separation tested his resolve, a daily moral wrestle. Chase forbidden love or embrace solitude for safety. Society's evolution offered glimmers. George's advocacy gained traction. A local paper profiled him, from scandal to advocate. Supporters outnumbered detractors, but hate mail persisted, reminders of entrenched prejudice. He debated publicly, challenging norms. Why must we pay extra for being ourselves? Audiences divided, sparking discussions on ethics and acceptance. Family dynamics shifted irrevocably. Emily relocated nearby, rebuilding sibling bonds. I lost parents, but gained truth, she said. Their collaboration on LGBTQ events mended trust. but George mourned the parental void. A final call to his folks went unanswered, closing that chapter. The sacrifice. Generational ties severed for personal integrity. Sarah reached détente, co-parenting amicably. Mikey needs both of us whole, she conceded. Her growth mirrored George's, acknowledging past errors. Yet, subtle judgments lingered, like when she questioned Mikey's exposure to alternative lifestyles. George pushed back gently, fostering understanding. Jordan's post-trial life unfolded in shadows. Relocated to California, he rebuilt anonymously, working remotely. Their virtual connection deepened, sharing vulnerabilities. Coming out cost my family. Testifying my freedom, Jordan reflected. George empathized. Helping you cost mine too. They dissected decisions, right or wrong. The bond endured, a testament to resilience. A pivotal moment arrived when threats resurfaced. The CEO's allies targeted Jordan. Agents alerted George. He's in danger. Torn, George volunteered information from old conversations, aiding capture of assailants. The act. A betrayal of privacy for greater good? Jordan forgave. You saved me again. With threats neutralized, Jordan petitioned for normalcy. Proved, he returned to Denver. Reunion was electric. Embraces in George's garage where it began. Mikey warmed quickly. You're back. But integration brought challenges. Media scrutiny, community wariness. George proposed a committed relationship, but with caveats. We move slow for Mikey. Jordan agreed, aware of stakes. Their life together navigated hurdles. Family holidays alone, societal side-eyes at school events. Inner peace came gradually, through therapy and support. Yet, costs tallied high. Lost innocence for Mikey, fractured kinships, tarnished reputations. George pondered if alternate choices, ignoring Jordan initially, would have spared pain. But growth emerged. Stronger identity, broader empathy. In quiet moments, George wrote a memoir snippet, capturing the saga's essence. One act of kindness unraveled my world, forcing confrontations with self, family, and society, question norms, inviting readers to reflect. As the story closed, George and Jordan sat on the porch, watching Mikey play. Their journey, from shock to awakening, illustrated life's complexities. Decisions bore fruits and thorns, each character paying for authenticity in a flawed world. Was George's initial decision to help Jordan ultimately the right choice, despite the immense personal and familial costs it incurred?